Thought it was the best performance I've ever seen.
I've got two tall friends who know my small friend who seem to have a problem with you. They got Roman candles, bottle rockets for the vandals who cover the We're on our way, here we go.
Welcome to the Warehouse Family Circus!
Come again. We were strangers and we were pilgrims, role models of the family man, pioneers and patriarchs, patriots and matriarchs, staking out the promise.
Alright, so try not to miss your cues. Ready, set, go.
Warehouse Circus does a major show every year, and in 2011 we wanted to do something a little bit different with it. We wanted to allow a mixed troupe of intermediate and advanced students to take it on the road and basically get an experience that they can't get anywhere else and visit towns that they wouldn't otherwise necessarily go to. Towns that are not towns that big shows choose to tour to either. We wanted the kids to be able to go to small country towns, go to really little schools out of the way, and see a type of schooling that they don't have here in Canberra and they wouldn't be familiar with. And we also wanted to show the kids in the little schools in regional towns what circus is and how circus is a great activity for people to get involved in.
I guess the first thing that Jane and I had to really consider was the ability and the age ranges that we were dealing with. Normally with our A troupe performance, it's quite a specifically a high level show with not many students, whereas this was twice as many students as we're normally used to dealing with for a major show, and the skill level varied from intermediate all the way through to highly advanced, and with specialties in all different sort of areas. So for us, it was just a matter of making sure that everyone got the best opportunity possible to show off the skills that they had. And for some people, that was clowning.
Lily comes in with answering the age-old question, how many clowns does it take to change a light bulb? She welcomes everyone back to the show. We go straight into skipping, then we have contortion, we have juggling.
The basic idea that we had for this show was that we'd go with a really simple concept in order for us to make it easier working with a younger age group than we worked with in this kind of show. So we went for a concept which was creating circus acts that, although the actual content may be different, they sort of had throwback to older circus acts, like traditional circus acts.
So using the notion of old-time travelling circuses and giving it a slightly surreal or absurd twist.
For example, we had the Spin Evils, the stuntmen that clearly weren't on motorcycles, but they were a throwback to motorcycle stuntmen. And then we had the Wild West in Hula Hoopers, a throwback to sort of whip cracking and all that kind of thing.
The idea of the ballerinas on unicycles and then giving the twist of also the bearded ladies, I thought it brought a lot of interesting aspects that people would have, people would associate with circus and with traditional travelling circuses, and I think that's an element that really helped the show gel together. So on top of things like that, we also had like the mysterious Orient. So all those sort of things that people associate with old-timey circus, and that the kids could have a lot of fun playing with in those sort of characters.
So Mark and I had that idea, and then we thought we'd throw that idea to the kids and see what came back from them, and see if we could then mould that into a few slightly more concrete ideas, see if it was going to work well, see if they liked it, if it had a lot of potential.
Dive for the audience. I'd go like this. So, bum on that edge. No, well, because I'm not a diver, remember? I'm a strongman.
Probably do something. I just do it word for word, which kind of...
You could write
I'm not
your own
very
as
good
well
at
if you
doing
like.
that kind of-
You could write your own lines though, if you want to. From then we looked at the kinds of skills we had within the group, and we thought, using some feedback from the kids and the kind of ideas that they liked, we tried to fit together concepts from traditional circus acts onto the kinds of acts that we wanted to do. Then from there, Mark and I sort of thought of a few concepts that could work within those acts. So small storylines and maybe like character plots and that kind of thing. We then took that to the students and they then got the opportunity to take that narrative and put their own tricks and choreography on top of it. Some of the group acts, Mark and myself, did a large part of the choreography with, but most of the smaller acts, the students did all of the writing of the tricks themselves.
We're going to use the little animal cage. There's going to be
Who are we
one
putting
of
in the cage?
We're going to have Natasha in a mouse costume pushing it, and we're going to have Aiden sleeping on top.
And then for the shows, as its whole, we're looking at it thinking, we probably need some kind of MC or ringmaster type character, and that's where it was actually quite late in the stage when we decided exactly who that was going to be. And we were looking at Lily because she's quite well spoken, and we thought it'd be really great to give that opportunity to a younger student rather than one of the older ones who've had a go at it before.
Gathered from all corners of the globe, the Warehouse family is renowned to be stronger. Running your own circus is a bit of a juggling act. You might think that all the hard work is done on set. I didn't want to do this, but I think I'm going to have to. It's time for dessert! Not dessert!
Craig's speech at the beginning of the unicycling act. Craig actually came up to me at one point and asked if he could have a speaking role, and I thought it was really good because I'd never really seen him display a lot of confidence in terms of that dramatic sort of aspect. But he actually came and searched it out, and so I wrote him a little piece, and each time he did it, I just did stitches backstage. So
I am proud to represent the prestigious,
the one and only, the pride of the Bulgarian nation and bearded folk worldwide.
And we also really focused on ensemble acts because ensemble acts can really fill in the gaps when you don't have, aerials rig, when you don't have massive props and that kind of thing. You can cram the stage full of as many performers as possible, then that really fills in any gaps that you might have by having to take a show onto it. There was a lot of costumes and they always go missing. But I think that we did, with our costumes, we tried to go for something, quite simple things, picking out the few elements within those characters that would really represent them. So for example, our stuntmen had helmets and our cowgirls had, check shirts, and our mice, they just had ears. They didn't even need tails or anything because they get in the way of the skipping. But we thought we'd just pick the simplest items that would represent those characters to keep the costume volume as low as possible while still having the greatest impact. And I think it worked quite well, actually.
it's always going to be a lot of work. Like, you'd be lying to say that it's easy taking a group of 17 kids on the road and preparing them to perform in completely different theatres in different towns with not much prep and without a full tech rehearsal or a full dress rehearsal. But those are problems that we managed to overcome. I think through just a good lot of foreplanning and just everyone putting in the hard yards when it counted.
For like a metre, a bit more than a metre.
Be on the front of the Titanic.
Alright, Dimo's there.
Arms up, lean back, now stick your arms up.
Within the group, we had students that were stagehands when they weren't on stage. We had students that knew the show inside out, particularly our older students who could act as stage managers and that kind of thing. Although we had actual stage managers and a few people in the dressing rooms, we knew that we could write in all the other tasks that had to happen in the theatre within our own cast. So that was quite different to when you do a small show.
The other place where we really aimed to connect was Cootamundra with a group called the KDAS Kids. They're a drama group. They have a very strong focus on teamwork and drama being fun, a fun social activity. And I thought the synergies between them and Warehouse Circus, their beliefs, what they're aiming to do through the arts were very similar, and we wanted to connect with them. We got to train with the Fruit Fly Circus, which was a really big thrill for a lot of our kids. We got to see their massive training space. work with some really high-level professional trainers. We got to do forward salts into the big foam pit, which was great fun.
Shoulder. So how's the shoulder? And stand. That's it. Okay. That's it. Arms straight arms. Feel this in.
But once you do it together, it works out.
3, 2, 1.
Not quite your coccyx, just above. Yeah? Yeah.
Lift your toes. That's it. Oh, you're pretty good. I want you to
So just think about like you're just falling back and your legs are coming up.
lift your bum higher. Yes.
Wait till he's trying to get.
The feedback from the students has been really, really positive. They all had a great time. The first day we had one of our students talking about how it was not like a school camp. It wasn't like going away with any other group they'd been away with before, because it was much more like a family. And I really liked how that idea tied in with the Warehouse family circus touring. And I think all the kids felt like that, especially by the end.
So I don't think, I don't know, they're all just like, oh yeah, we're all hanging out again, like it's just another training session, and then all of a sudden we were sitting on this bus and we're on the road. So it was kind of,
Yeah.
I think it really felt like it happened a lot
Suddenly?
quicker. Yeah, it
Yeah,
happened
yeah,
really
yeah.
suddenly. We went from just training once a week together to
And-
it was there.
That was really good.
And the teaching as well. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I
and
got
I got a chance to
really,
teach.
like, that was even a good opportunity just for me.
Yeah,
yeah, I
really enjoyed it.
Seeing kids learn new stuff, and like heaps of them were really excited, like had never had the opportunity before. It was good.
Nice and gentle. That's easy. Okay, sit up nice and straight. Hold your hands forward. Pedal to catch up. That's it. Keep.
So you flick it over. Now you need to pull this string apart and that string apart.
And yeah, so they go that way, roll that way.
Right-handed people, so who here is right-handed? Yeah, most of you. And then if you're left-handed, I'll come round to you in a minute to help you out.
The lead up to the tour was quite exceptional. We had so many volunteers take a lot of time to put a lot of work into raising funds through things like selling chocolates, busking. We were out in the Woden Mall almost every weekend and a few other local malls and shopping areas, raising money, busking.
Hamish and Andy got nothing on us. We're talking about.
Do they have?
Except,
do they have a radio show?
Like they can write stuff and
Yeah,
they're
but-
kind of funny.
Really, but there's a circus in town, and these guys are from Canberra. The Warehouse Family Circus. What about noises? Lachlan, can you give us a noise, an animal noise? Go, give us a dog.
A dog. Wolf.
All right,
You
give us a
guys should do
bear.
them out.
Give us a
They're
bear.
nice.
Roar! Ah, Lachlan, you guys are fantastic.
We found that on the road performing at schools, having that ability just to have an act that you could perform with one or two other people that looked good, that was simple to pull off, and yet had a really high entertainment value, was really great. So coming back from the tour, lots of kids are like, I want to have an act. I want to have an act with someone. And I think that those bonds are going to be really good for them in the next couple of years as they develop further on.
Well, I really enjoyed it, and I'm going to be pretty sad that it's over now. I like hanging out with everybody on the tour.
The thing that I enjoyed the most is the theatre shows, because they were really, really exciting and I'd never done them before.
It's been absolutely amazing, and there's so much that stands out as something you wouldn't get anywhere else. Without the volunteers and Alicia and Mark and Jane, you would not have gotten any of the experiences we have. But
Just everything, experience, that's everything, pretty much.
In the tour, I've enjoyed doing the major shows because
I love performing and stuff, and I probably wouldn't be in the circus if we couldn't perform.
One day when, I'd done a ridiculous amount of workshops and was so tired, and then we saw all these kids hiring hula hoops from their sports shed, and there was about, 15 of them. I did that.
The thing I'm gonna miss the most probably would be not knowing how big the audience is until you get on stage, and when you hear the clapping and cheering, it's just the most fantastic feeling.
For the circus tour, I really enjoyed the Flying Fruit Flies workshop because I got to learn so many new things and to do some adagio with the A troopers, and it was just heaps of fun to do. Yeah, fruities, definitely.
Well, all the shows, the workshops, quite a lot of things. The bad bit of it was going home.
I think the most amazing thing for me was probably all just like the extra training we got to do and just being able to see like everyone's hidden talents and stuff off stage, when we were just kind of mucking around.
And they were all like really getting into it, and like we inspired them to do something that they don't usually do, and they have the resources, but it's something that they never thought about, and like we inspired them to do something that they don't usually do.
The performances and everything, basically. And probably the favourite of the performance was running around crazy on the song.
I enjoyed teaching other kids who have no experience of circus at all, and just having, I go to circuses and I get amazed by what they do and I get inspired, but now we're inspiring new students.
When we came outside and there were all these little kids and they were all doing handstands and they were doing flips. And I remember being that young and going to a circus and being inspired like that. And I thought it was really cool that we got to do that for someone else.
I've never landed my pike before, never, ever. And I finally did it in the show. And then Fruit Flies was awesome.
Well, all the performing and just being able to, come back and hang out with all of the cast. Getting to go on the radio and James letting us ride on the back of the truck. They were probably my favourite moments.
I really did like riding on the truck. I liked riding movies in the gym and sleeping in the gym and just fun times we had in that gym. Except the showers were bad.
One of the most interesting things out of it has been watching them in the 2 weeks or so after the tour, and the list of things that they come up to me being, I want to be able to do this, or I want to learn how to do this. And it's because of the interaction with other students that either have experience in it or the experience of going to somewhere like the Fruit Flies and seeing their training space and seeing the level of work that they do there. I think for a lot of them, it's been a really inspirational thing, and I think it's really good that they're willing to push themselves